minds, okay? We had so much pressure as governors, and I know leaders and business leaders all over that were telling us to close our schools, okay? I didn't do it. Governor DeSantis didn't do it, okay? And the hypocrites in other states, I mean, I talked to other governors, Governor of California. What does he do? His kids are in private schools the whole time while he's saying it's not safe to be in public schools, okay? That's the type of hypocrisy that we have. Governor DeSantis stood up to that, all that pressure. He took on Disney, okay? Who does that? That is the most powerful company in your state, and I know how much pressure he's under. Not only did he take them on, but he beat them, okay? That's the kind of leader DeSantis is. So that's why I'm 100% behind him. Then when we get there, he needs to be there. We got to have somebody that can be there for 8 years. You don't understand how you're a lame duck from day one if you get into the White House and you can only serve for 4 years. It's just problematic, okay? Because the deep blue state will try to wait them out, and it'll take a little bit of time to get all the people in place to do the right thing. So as far as protecting our kids in school, the DEI and the things that we're doing in Oklahoma, I'm copying a lot of the stuff that DeSantis does by protecting our kids. He'll tell you all about that. Energy security is national security. So we're on the same page. We have to take our foot off of the brake and just let American companies innovate and make sure that we can have lower electricity prices, lower gas prices at the pump. That's inflation. All of the Biden's policies are really costing me and you and all of our citizens more at the grocery store and at the gas pump. Day one in office, this guy is going to reverse all of those Biden policies and actually unleash American innovation to get our country back. So I know everybody running, and the reason I'm here and Kim Reynolds is endorsed, she knows everybody running, is because this is the right guy. And I'm just telling you, Oklahoma's watching Iowa. Tennessee's watching Iowa. You guys are so lucky. People in Oklahoma, we don't get all the presidential candidates coming to our state like this. You don't realize how lucky you are because you get to vet them for the rest of the country. It's so important what you guys do on January 15th. And we're watching you. We want you to shock the world. We want you to tell the world who is the best next president of the United States that can be there for 8 years and can beat Joe Biden. And it's clearly Governor DeSantis. So bring all your friends, tell them about it. I don't understand exactly how the caucus deals work, but you guys do. We have like ballots in our state or something. So, but anyway, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to endorse DeSantis. He's the right guy. I've watched him lead. He's going to get the job done. He's going to keep his promises, and he is going to make Oklahoma, make America back to the policies that we know we should. So with that, it's my honor to introduce to you the next president of the United States, Governor Ron DeSantis.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks. Good to see you. Great to be back.
Yeah.
Great to be back. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Woo.
Thank you.
Woo.
We appreciate it. Oh, please have a seat. Please have a seat. Anyone have any big Christmas plans? Travel? Are you all going to be local? What's going to happen? You do? Where? Orlando. Okay. Any other travels? Any other Florida trips?
I used to come down
Where are you going? Where are you moving to?
I'm down to Florida every Christmas.
Okay, winter, spring, Central Florida. Yeah,
no,
good spot. Good spot. Yeah, we're gonna be my wife and our kids. We're gonna be going back home tonight, and we're gonna have some few days for Christmas as a family. I've done most of the shopping. I think Santa's in a pretty good spot on a lot of this stuff. We're going to have to do a couple things with obviously the cookies and some other stuff. I'm going to have to go buy some carrots. But our kids are really excited. First grade, kindergarten, and pre-K 3. Last year was kind of the first one where our now 3-year-old, she kind of got Santa. Now they have a really good idea of Santa and everything. And we actually were able to stop at a Bass Pro Shop yesterday where Santa was there, taking all the wishes. And so they know what they want. My first grader wants a science kit for science experiments. My kindergartner, he just wants sports stuff. And then our pre-K 3, she wants a toy doggy. So she wants a real one. We said, you gotta take care of these things. You can't, that's important to do. So she's going to do that and have that, but it's fun. Look, I look through where our country's going, And part of it, I see it through the lens of a dad, because yes, I have things I want to see for me and my wife and everything. But I think about these kids, and I think about us being in jeopardy of being the first generation of Americans to turn over to our kids and grandkids in America less prosperous and less free than the one we inherited. And if we do that, we will be breaking faith with every generation of Americans that has preceded us, who always found a way to sacrifice so that the next generations and future generations would be able to have opportunities. So we need to get with it, and we need to have some big changes. There's a lot of pessimism in the air right now about the direction of the country. Seems like anytime you turn on your TV, you see things that even 10 years ago, no one would have thought would be even possible. I mean, who would have thought that we would have protests erupt on college campuses in favor of a terrorist group like Hamas right after they massacre all these Israelis in really
I think people
fashion?
could have seen
Yeah,
that one
it's
coming.
almost like a common event now. So you see all these things, and we need a course correction. I do not believe the decline that we've seen across our country is inevitable.
Me
I
neither.
think it's a choice.
It's a
I think
choice.
it's a choice that we as Americans get to make.
That's
I think
right.
It's a choice that you as Iowans are going to have an outsized influence in making.
Come on, drink your
Because what
coffee,
you do on
Ron. Yes,
January
it is.
15 can change the direction, the whole trajectory of this country's government and politics. And that's why I'm asking for your support, because
You
I'll
got
be
it.
a change agent to go up to Washington as president and get done what we need to get done. We have a responsibility to reverse this decline. We have a responsibility to usher in a revival of the American spirit, and we need to bring a new birth of freedom all throughout this country. I look at what Kevin's done in Oklahoma. You know, Oklahoma is like a very red state, but before he was there, their government, state government was not conservative. They're raising taxes, they're doing a mess of a budget, all this stuff. He came in and he's gotten it all done. Across the board, all the things that Republicans have wanted, they've done. Your governor here, Governor Reynolds, who I'm also happy to have support from, she's gotten done things that Republicans have been asking for years and years and years. Same with us in Florida. In Florida, I have a front row seat to what's going on in the country, because anytime these blue states do dumb things, people flee to my state for refuge, and they tell me about what's going on. So I know a lot about Chicago. I know a lot about California. And that was part of the reason, you know, I did this debate with the governor of California a couple of weeks ago, Gavin Newsom on Fox with Sean Hannity. And at one point in the debate, you know, I pulled out a map of San Francisco. And the reason I knew about this is because people that had moved to San Francisco to Florida told me about what was happening, that people will actually just defecate on the sidewalks there in public. So what they started doing, anytime the feces reports would go, it's like a public record. There's a group that plotted those on a map. So if you see it, there's like all these red dots with everywhere you look. It's like, I don't know how you could even step around there. And so I whipped out the map and did it. But the reason I knew about that is because people had told me what was going on. People tell me what's happening in New York and all these other places.
It's great. And then the next thing you know,
I'm running for president because we can't just have any time these states are doing dumb things that people feel like they have to move to Florida. I mean, everyone should be able to live in a free state. The country should be free. And so we need to turn it around, and we will. As a dad, I look at our education system. It's wrong to use the education system to indoctrinate kids with an agenda. We need education in this country the way it's meant to be. Let's focus on math, reading, science. We had to have the fight, and Governor Stitt mentioned it, about not having sexualization of the curriculum in the elementary schools. How we were even having that debate, I don't know, but it's wrong to tell a kindergartner that they can change their gender. It's wrong to tell a second grader that they were born in the wrong body. And we had that debate. The left opposed us, the media, of course, we knew that. But then we had Disney, our most powerful company, weighing in. And a lot of people said, you know, you're not going to be able to win this one. They're just the 800-pound gorilla. Nobody's able to go up against them in the state of Florida. But, you know, as a governor and as a dad, I've got to stand. My responsibility is to stand up for the people that I was elected to serve. I do not subcontract out my leadership to woke companies based in California. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to do what's right. And that's what we did.
People treat Disney like it's the Holy Roman Empire or something. And he said, yeah, I don't think so. It was pretty cool.
It's also just as a dad, when we had to fight the fight against with COVID, We were fighting, yes, the Republican administration under Donald Trump, Anthony Fauci, the media, the left, all these folks. I just understood as a parent, you cannot lock kids out of school like they did in California for a year and a half. Of course, the elites that would lock the kids out
Yes, you
would put
can.
their own kids in person in private
on their
schools like the governor did. But we knew that that was just something that totally was unacceptable. So we fought that fight. The teachers union sued me, saying that the schools needed to be closed. We beat the teachers union. We did what was right. And now nobody will admit that they opposed me on that. They all, in fact, Newsom was trying to say California was open and Florida was closed. Really? Are you kidding me? So that just shows you we won that. But those were difficult fights to do. But part of it is, just as a dad, I had a lot of sympathy for what parents were going through during this difficult time. I mean, to say that you're going to do all education remote, okay, if you have a parent, a single mom that has to put food on the table, she's also going to teach all the classes. It just doesn't work. So we were right about that, and that took leadership. It took the willingness to fight for people. But part of it is, this is just who I am, and also as a veteran. I'm the only veteran running for president. I'd be the first veteran since 1988 who served at a foreign war to get elected president of this country. Period. And I worry about the direction of our military. I have veterans that come up to me now frequently, say they would not recommend their kids or grandkids to join today's military because you have situations, and I run into people too. I ran into a pilot a couple weeks ago. He said he's done more DEI training than he has flight training this year. That is a military that's losing its way. They have civilians imposing an agenda. You have social agenda,
more pronoun training than combat training.
All this stuff has gotten in that kills morale. That's one of the reasons the recruiting is so
pronouns
right
man.
now. So,
my goodness.
I understand as a veteran the importance of the military being something that people aspire to join. It should be very special to wear the cloth of your country. But I understand that you've got to put the mission first. If you're not putting the mission first, you are not going to be successful. And you can't put the mission first while also trying to check all these political or ideological boxes. So we're going to take all of that out as day one as commander in chief, throw it in the trash can, and we're going to recenter this military on focusing on the mission and making sure that people are advancing and being promoted based on merit and achievement.
No
That
pronoun.
should be the only criteria that we care
Get
about.
rid of the
that
pronouns.
Increases morale. That will increase people that want to join the military. And I don't see how we'd be able to do this as a country if we don't get that in better situation. We have threats posed by China, top threat to this country. We need to have a powerful military to be able to deter them from doing what they want to do in the Pacific and beyond. So I'm committed to doing that as commander in chief. We'll get it done. I also understand the debt that we owe to veterans. Veterans issues are going to be a top priority for me. I think a lot of times people give lip service, but they don't actually deliver the goods. We still have 22 veterans that are committing suicide every day. This is part of my generation, of the post 9/11 generation, who were called to serve. And, I volunteered to serve. I had a lot of opportunities to do other things. And I kind of put myself in a position as a blue collar kid to get education and be in a situation where I could make good money. But I felt that nation was in conflict. I had to do my part, and I volunteered. Not necessarily get paid, education for that. I just did it, and I was proud to do that. And a lot of other people answered the call. I was in Iraq for a tour, but there were a lot of people, Marines and soldiers, special operators. They were deployed continuously for years and years. They'd go 6 months back, 12 months back. Because we have an all-volunteer force, and we're talking about putting a serious burden on a very small percentage of our population. That is going to take a toll. You are absolutely going to have invisible wounds of war that people are going to come back with. And we've done a little bit better job in more recent years, but we got to do more. So we're going to do that. It's something that's personal to me. It's something that I know we're going to be able to get the job done on. And then the other thing I think about through all these things, I see all this stuff through the lens of being a leader and leadership, because you can get elected to office, particularly a governor or president, executive leadership position. You got to be right on the issues. We see Biden failing on that. It matters. but being right on the issues is not enough. You got to be able to lead. You got to be able to articulate that vision, and you have to deliver these results. Leadership is about doing what's right when it's not easy. Anyone can lead when the wind's at your back. But in this day and age, anything worth fighting for, you are going to have resistance. The bureaucrats are going to oppose you. The media is going to oppose you. The left's going to oppose you. Some of these entrenched Republicans in D.C. will likely oppose you. And you just got to understand that. And you got to be able
Donald
to
Trump
overcome
swamp
that
will oppose
to be
you.
able to get the job done for we, the American people. So I've shown an ability to do that in Florida on issue after issue. I'm the only one running for president that's delivered on 100% of the promises that I made to the people of Florida. And I'm the only one running for president that has a demonstrated record of defeating the left on issue after issue. We beat the teachers union by doing universal school choice. We beat Fauci on COVID. We beat George Soros on crime by removing 2 of these radical prosecutors. We beat the Democrats on election integrity by banning ballot harvesting and Zuckerbucks and having universal voter ID. And we beat the left on banning China from purchasing land in the state of Florida and ejecting them from our universities. So that's the record. That's the record.
He's not lying.
And then finally, just what we've shown in Florida, what Kim has shown here, what Kevin has shown in Oklahoma is that when you lead with bold colors and you don't govern in pale pastels, you're able to attract a lot of support. When people see you're willing to fight for them and that you're in it for the right reasons, man, they'll come out like gangbusters to vote for you. That's why
true, they will.
The biggest landslide victory any Republican has ever won in the history of the state of Florida since the beginning of the state in these governor's races. Because people knew that I had their back. That's what we need going forward to start winning elections again.
I don't know if that'll
the
ever
model
happen
that we've done in Florida, the model Kim's done in Iowa, that will lead us to not just victory in 24 at the presidential, congressmen, senators, and then a re-elected president in 2028. And I don't think anything less than that is going to be able to get the job done. So as your nominee, I'm asking for you to caucus for me on January 15th. I'm asking for you to bring family members, neighbors, friends, coworkers, because your voice will have a huge impact on the future of this country. Don't listen to the media. Don't listen to them, cite polls and this and that. There was a poll in my race saying I was going to lose, and I won by 20 points for re-election. So this stuff, just put it aside and do what you think is right. And as the nominee, I'm going to get the job done across the board. This is a team effort. It's not just about me. It's about helping Republicans across the board. I'll do just like I did in Florida in a big way. As a leader, you'll be able to have somebody that you can always be proud of and how I conduct myself. And as the president of the United States, I can promise you this: I am not going to let you down. We are going to turn this country around. So thank you all.
You won't let me down. Don't let me down.
Right.
Don't let me down. You should play that.
Who's got some questions? Yes.
Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me. I can't hear him.
And I will not be sniffing young girls' hair either.
Yeah,
so
you won't be
worry about
young girls' hair, or cocaine, or cheating on his wife. Not gonna be doing any of that stuff. Or having gay sex in the hearing room in the Senate.
Or forgetting what year it is or where he is.
All that stuff.
No, I appreciate that. Look, I mean, I want to be innovative with this. I'm open to a whole bunch of different alternatives. We've, veterans really like having access to the VA. I know that when veterans are offered, plans where they could just go, a lot of times they like being in that environment because they're with other veterans. And so I appreciate that. If there are ways we can deliver those services better or make it more economical, we'd be interested. But thank you for your service. I appreciate you very
Yeah,
much.
yeah. This is a Veterans for DeSantis thing you see in the back there, and you see all the medals of them all. This might be a VFW. Oh, what's going on with the video? Why does it always stop right when?
I don't think people
There we go.
illegally are entitled to birthright citizenship.
Amen.
That's the original understanding of the 14th Amendment, was not that someone can come illegally, have a kid, and all of a sudden the kid is a citizen.
Oh, the
Because
14th Amendment. What are we talking about that
then you
too?
have a situation where it's hard to enforce the immigration law, because if you deport the parent, you can't deport an American citizen. And so how do you do that? And it creates an anchor in this country. The conventional wisdom as well, the Supreme Court has said anything on the soil, that's that, and I used to just assume that was the case. As you start looking, and they really haven't answered the question, if somebody comes across the border illegally, has a kid, does the 14th Amendment demand that kid be an American citizen? I don't think that was the original understanding.
No, they shouldn't be. No.
Trying to do was overturn Dred Scott decision, which was a horrible decision, and ensure that African Americans were citizens, contrary to what that decision said. That was the intent of it. So yes, we're going to move on that. It is definitely going to get litigated, and it will end up going to the U.S. Supreme Court. But very few countries do birthright citizenship for illegal. Now, I believe American citizens and obviously like American family has a kid, you're a citizen. You don't have to worry about anything like that. And I think that should be the case 100%. And people that are here legally 100%. So yes, we are going to take that issue on. Yes.
And he will.
What's your name?
He's not just saying that.
Okay.
He's
and you
not
live around here? Yeah, I live up in Cedar Rapids. Oh, okay.
He's not going to whiz on you and tell you it's raining. He's actually going to do it.
I'm 21. I know I don't look like it, but the economy for me is a big issue. My grandparents back in the 60s and 70s, were able to buy a house and have it paid off, 10, 15 years on one income. And now buying a home for my generation is like not even feasible, let alone, groceries, gas, what have you. So, obviously seen in the debates or whatever, your stance on the economy, but just like more personal here, what's your plan, housing prices, how to get that on track and whatnot?
No, great question. Very important, particularly for your generation. I started working odd jobs when I was a teenager, before I went to college, where people will, have fun during the summer, kind of after their senior high school.
Regular guy.
I showed up the Monday after graduation.
Silver spoon upbringing like Trump.
Working as an electrician's assistant, making $6
Very
an
small
hour,
$1 million loan.
6 a.m. to 3 p.m., 5 days a week. And that was money that just went to the college costs. And then when I was in college, I did every odd job imaginable. When I got beyond that, I did more anytime I could do that. And I did that just because I just always believed that when you work hard in this country, you get ahead. I believe that. And I would not have probably done that if I didn't think it was going to pay off. Well, now you're in a situation where you have young people that are working hard, doing everything right, and they're falling behind. And that means that the American dream is out of reach for them. And if it doesn't, look, there's going to be some people that aren't willing to work and all that stuff. Put that aside. The people that are working hard, getting the most out of their God-given ability, if they can't get ahead, this country is not going to work. I mean, that is really the fundamental thing. So we're going to be after this. With inflation, the prices that you've been paying have been created by federal government policies. particularly starting in March of 2020 with the response to COVID, where they started printing trillions of dollars. Both Republicans and Democrats, the Federal Reserve, both administrations, Trump and Biden, over a course of a year, March of 2020 to March of 2021, I think they printed an extra like 6.2 or 6.4 trillion dollars that was added to the debt in one thing. And just to put that in perspective, it took us over 200 years to get to reach 6 trillion in debt as a country. So it was grossly irresponsible. It was all those policies that Fauci did were wrong. They were harmful, and nobody's been held accountable for it. I'm going to bring a reckoning about those COVID policies. I think that if we don't have a reckoning for it, they're going to repeat it again. And we've had a lot of damage to our nation's fiscal situation, to kids, to businesses, to workers, people that were forced, not in Florida, but in other places, forced to take an mRNA COVID shot that they didn't want or need. So we need a reckoning on this, because this has had major ramifications. A lot of the issues we're dealing with now go back to those fateful decisions of March of 2020 and the elevation of Anthony Fauci as the de facto ruler of the country.
Thanks, Trump. Thank you. Thank you, Trump. He had to do it. The deep state native.
I do think when you work to cut spending, when you work to open up energy for production to lower energy costs, when you have a better Federal Reserve, you're going to be in a position where those interest rates are going to be able to come down. And part of it with housing, yes, the interest rates have been a huge deal, because the average house today, the monthly mortgage payment's twice as much what the average house and mortgage payment would have been 4 or 5 years ago. Part of it's the home values have gone up, but part of it is the interest rates are so much higher that you're just paying a lot more in interest. Part of the reason, though, the market is where it is because people are locked into the lower interest rates. They don't want to sell their homes, have to get another one, and then have a much higher rate. So the market naturally does, there would be, I think, a more natural correction if the interest rates hadn't changed the way they did. And look, it's not for me to say we want home prices to be high or low. There's a market that determines that. In Florida, the home prices have gone up because there's been massive demand for people. I thought it was going to correct because I'm like, man, this is just crazy, and there's more people want to come. Okay. At the same time, I recognize the number one asset that most Americans have is their home. So in Florida, you've had people, middle-class people, that doubled their wealth basically because of the demand for living in Florida and all that. So there's that side of it.
Hey.
I do think the interest rates are inhibiting
I know
progression of the market, so that some of the prices come down and it's more affordable, particularly for young people. So I think we'll be able to work all of that out. Obviously, Biden's policies are not helping any of this. We'll reverse that. I do think the energy independence and drilling for more energy, lowering those prices, that permeates the whole economy. It's not just what you get at the gas pump. I mean, yeah, that's important. It's important to consumers, but everything that's produced, the cost of energy goes into that. And when energy prices are high, you're going to feel that as a consumer in the overall end price. So we're going to do that on day one. We're going to reverse the Green New Deal. We're going to ensure that we're energy dominant, and we're also going to reverse things like electric vehicle mandates. I mean, if you think about it, California. So I debated Governor California, and they had done a mandate, and it hasn't taken effect yet, but it will in the not too distant future. Every new car sold in California has to be electric. And so that's going to be more expensive for consumers. It's going to cause the price of used cars that are internal combustion engine to skyrocket. But here's the thing. After they announced that, 2 days later, the state of California did an announcement and said, every EV holder, do not plug in your EV. We do not have grid capacity. They can't even service. They have blackouts in California.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. We had a Category 4 hurricane, Idalia, hit Florida in September. And, we work very hard on getting the power back on quick. We take pride in that. But I think it was like a week after we had a Category 4 storm, California had a higher percentage without power than we did in Florida. That's just their normal course of things. But I do think those policies are going to pinch young people, because it's going to be hard to afford a car. It's going to be harder. The energy prices are going to go up. So that Green New Deal is really, really bad, I think, for young people, for people who are trying to get ahead, and we will put a stop to it.
Because if they get a freaking
Yeah, you're screwed. Yeah, I mean, if the power grid goes down, you're screwed. Hurricane knocks it out, you're screwed. What are those times you need to get in your truck and drive up there? It's like, oh no, you can't plug it in. And just electric cars are very
Yeah,
beta.
absolutely. I mean, I
They're
think you're
very
right.
beta
They
now.
are harboring
I want to get in my
Hamas. They're
truck
facilitating Hamas.
with my engine.
What Qatar does is they, on the one hand do that, on the other hand, they make overtures to the America and the West, and they kind of try to play both sides of this. And I don't think that's sustainable to just say you can play both sides. So yes, we're going to hold them accountable. It was interesting. There's just because the presidential race. There have been folks who have tried to whitewash Qatar's role with Hamas, saying, "Oh, they're not really funding. They're not really." No, they are. I mean, that's just the reality. We know that. Now, I think the biggest source is Iran, because what Biden did inexplicably, he comes in and he opens the spigot for oil, all this stuff. So they're making more money, and they plow that into terrorism. So they're funding Hamas, they're funding Hezbollah, they're funding Houthis, they're funding anywhere in the Middle East where groups will foment jihad. They're funding attacks in Iraq against our troops, in Syria. So you've got to turn the financial spigot off. Do not let them get this oil revenue.
Amen.
I just signed state-based Iran expanded sanctions in Florida. We did a special session of the legislature. And look, we're just one state, but we'd be the 13th largest economy in the world if we were our separate country. So it's not for nothing. So I'm going to be very, very insistent on stopping money going into Iran. But yes, we're gonna have some truth with this relationship, and it's just not acceptable to be harboring the leaders of a terrorist group that wants to have a second Holocaust. Yes.
When there's a crisis, what's the first thing that you do?
What's the first thing I do? Well, so I'm somebody who I gather the information. I want to have as much information as possible. I want to know the facts on the ground, and I think you have to do that. But I'm also not somebody that's going to like hand wring and like, oh, what's going to happen if I do this? Are they going to criticize me? What's the polling on this? No. You get the information, you talk to who you need to talk to, and then you make a crisp decision, and then you follow through with that decision. So, for example, we had Hurricane Ian that hit Category 5, Southwest Florida. Some of the things, so we had, I mean, it was the forecast was a mess, and we had to pre-position. I mean, we had 55,000 utility workers pre-positioned from out of state for rapid power restoration. We had urban search and rescue to help people who were in harm's way. We had a lot of stuff. The forecast had it go in northern Florida, then central, then eventually it came down. So we're like moving all these people around, and we're just having to be very nimble as we do it. So the storm comes, knocks out bridges, the Sanibel Causeway, and it knocked out the Pine Island Bridge. That was something where they were not state-run bridges; they were local government. But they were telling the residents it's going to be 6 months before we're going to be able to fix this. So the residents came to me and they're like, can you help us? Our islands will die if it takes 6 months. And I'm like, yeah, I'll help you. But the thing is as a governor, when you accept responsibility, if something goes wrong, they will blame you, right? But my view is like, I got to help. I got to be in there to do it. So I got my guys together and I'm just like, look, I don't want to hear any excuses about this. No red tape, no bureaucracy. Let's just get it done. There's no way we don't have 6 months to do it. So the Pine Island Bridge, we took control of that project, and it didn't take 6 months. We rebuilt the bridge in 3 days and brought people back on the island. Sanibel Causeway was severed in 3 different locations. We accepted that. 2 weeks later, opened it back up to the
He
public.
did. I saw it with my own eyes. He did.
Saving that.
It was incredible.
That's just making the decisions that we're going to lead. We're not going to be denied, and we're going to get the job done when folks need us. Same thing with the Hamas Israel. I knew would be a big deal for Florida. We have a lot of Israeli Americans. We've got a lot of folks that go back and forth that have friends and family. And sure enough, a couple days after the attack, Biden wasn't doing anything to rescue the Americans who were trying to get out of the war zone. So I did an executive order. We sent planes, and we ended up rescuing over 700 people and brought them back to the United States of America. So it's just about leading.
Yep, he did. And all the people that are calling him DeSanctimonious now, and the Benny Johnsons and Sobix and these guys were praising him when he did this. Singing his praise.
You know that area?
Now, but
Okay, yeah.
He was spared, but my question, and it's so broad, so I apologize. And I know you've done some of this and a lot of this in Florida, but how do you, as the chief executive of the country, take on this elected and unelected machine that exists to spend other people's money, to spend our money?
Leadership. I mean, you have to set the tone. We just have not had very many presidents, probably no president since Reagan, that's really wanted to make restraining spending a priority. And so you've got to make it a priority. You've got to be willing to veto bloated bills. You've got to set the marker down on that. And part of it is they've spent so much now, so much in debt just in the last however many years. I mean, if you think about it, the turn of the century, 21st century, I think we got to 5.6 trillion. So that's from 1789 to 2001, 5.6 trillion. And yet today we're at 33 going on 34 trillion in just 22 years later. And it's even worse than that, because if you just go back 10 years, we were probably at like 16 trillion or so we've basically doubled the debt in 10 years, which is just absolutely ridiculous and outrageous. So yes, we're going to lead, we're going to push back. The dollars and cents of it's important, of course, but the Congress doesn't even really have control of the budget at this point. They've just passed these massive spending bills. No one even knows what's in it. They're not restraining the bureaucracy and the excesses of the bureaucracy. The founding fathers said the number one security for your freedoms was that the people you elected to the House of Representatives controlled the purse strings. So if you have an agency of the federal government that's being abusive, IRS, FBI, whoever, all Congress has to do is stop funding the abuses. They starve it of money. So, for example, you've had FBI work with tech companies to censor dissent. Congress should pass a provision on appropriations that no money can be used to censor speech.
there you
They don't have
go.
money to do it. No money can be used to police parents going to school board meetings. Done. They don't have to worry about it. They don't do that. So part of what's happened is the way the fiscal stuff has been managed has really empowered the bureaucracy and the administrative state because they don't have effective oversight. So Congress has dropped the ball on that, and then presidents have not done a good job of disciplining that. So we're going to discipline that. You're talking about a bureaucracy that's accumulated a lot of power over these many decades. They're not just going to give it back willingly. So you go in on day one and you have a bunch of people in the administration with you ready to go. But it's going to be, you need a focused and deliberate and disciplined president to kind of unravel all the power that's accumulated and return it back to we, the American people. But the founding fathers did not envision a fourth branch of government, a bureaucracy like this. They figured it would be what the Constitution said, 3 branches of government. So these agencies have to respond and be held accountable by the elected president of the United States. Otherwise, you just have government without consent. And most of the major things that are being done now in our country on a policy basis, energy, automobiles, you name it, are being done through the bureaucracy by nameless, faceless bureaucrats, not by people who you've actually elected there. That is not a government of, by, and for the people, and we have to restore that. So the fiscal is a big part of it, but I think it's even broader than that. Yes.
So far, I've been really impressed with your presentation and such. Pretty obvious that you could be an excellent leader, but behind every leader is a great team. You have to address that. I mean, what areas you might look to
Guys, I know this can seem kind of boring
Yeah,
at
so
times.
I think it's a great question. So
This is
personnel.
connecting with voters, though.
And
This is what you
I
do.
agree with you 100%. You know, a president, a governor, whoever, as a leader, it's important. You set the vision. You have to make the judgment calls. But you cannot be successful unless you have a lot of people around you who are going to carry out that vision. Some people will be in the White House. Some people will be running cabinet departments. Some people will be 4 or 5 levels down in a cabinet department, and will be policing the bureaucracy. So you need all that. So a couple of things. One, we're just going to have thousands of people ready to go January of 2025. Submit these names to the Senate, get them confirmed, because you guys will probably really care about who the Attorney General is going to be, as most Americans will. But very few people are gonna care about who's 5 levels below in the Justice Department. But if you don't fill those positions, then the bureaucrats will end up running the show. So we're gonna have all that ready to go and do it. Now, what kind of people do you need? One, I don't want to just recycle people from Washington, D.C. I want people to be willing to move their families for 2, 4, 6, 8 years from Oklahoma, from Iowa, from Florida, to be on a mission to restore constitutional government in this country, to restore we the people as the rulers of this country again. And so that's different than just saying, the DC insiders, you go from the Democrat insiders to the Republican insiders. I don't think that works. And then in terms of some of the key positions, you really need people that are going to be willing to cut against the grain. Because what happens is things in Washington have gotten to the point they are, not by accident. That's the incentive structure that's there. You think the media is going to want to see an attorney general, Republican attorney general, come in and clean house at DOJ? They are not going to want to see that. You think the entrenched folks in Washington are going to want to? Of course not. So you're going to face a lot of resistance. And the question is how do you handle that? And I think I'm looking for people that are going to view being attacked by those folks as a badge of honor. The people are going to understand that they're over the target. That's why they're being attacked in the way that they are. But you are not going to be able to get anything done in Washington without these people coming at you. They are going to do that.
So
They're
true.
not going to give up their power willingly. And so whether it's attorney general, whether it's who's going to run, the FBI, whether that's who you put on the U.S. Supreme Court. I mean, all of those things are very, very important. And like I can tell you, like my Surgeon General in Florida, he was very opposed to Fauci and the lockdowns. And he was at UCLA, so I brought him in to Florida, and I said, "You're going to be the only
Trump people
person
don't like him.
that's a Surgeon General that's going to think that's going to be willing to say this stuff. They're going to come at you."
They love it.
Sure enough, they did.
You heard about Michael Caputo was talking
You're
about
not
it.
promoting the
Fauci
vaccine,
saved my
you're
life.
against masks or all this stuff, mask mandates. And basically, he just stood strong. And it got to the point where I told him, I was like, "Look, I haven't followed what you've been doing lately, but I know they're attacking you, so you must be doing something right." And that's kind of the positive feedback. So that's really, I think, what you need. There's a culture of Washington that is just hostile to conservative principles. It's hostile to the values of most Americans who live outside the Beltway. And think about it. 5 of the 8 wealthiest counties in our country right now are suburbs of Washington, D.C. How did that happen? What are they producing? Are they producing oil like Oklahoma or Texas? Are they the tech hub like Silicon Valley? Or no, it's because of government. It's because the way government is done, it's done to benefit the stakeholders that are there at the expense of everybody else who's working hard in the rest of the country.
Can I jump in and say? So in Oklahoma, we've got 4 million people, and the capital, we've got, the legislature, but it's an inside baseball game. This is why, as a business guy, I never ran for office until I ran for governor to go serve my state. That's what our founding fathers envisioned. So what happens is this inside baseball game. But I always remind people that, hey, there's 10,000 insiders that are really pushing you to do what's good for them. But there's 3.99 million Oklahomans right out there that just want you to do the right thing. That's why we have to elect DeSantis, because it's an inside baseball game in D.C. for the lobbyists. His point to all those counties. What'd you say? The richest counties in America are right there around D.C. They want to keep their machine going at the expense of Iowa and Oklahoma and Florida citizens. You have to have a guy that'll go take that on. That's what I see in DeSantis. He's not going to back down. He's going to get up there, and he's going to make sure that we have a balanced budget. Really, Here's how I say it. I'm a mortgage guy and a banker. So think about your mortgage, for example. Most people have a 30-year or 15-year mortgage. You're paying principal and interest, right? Okay. Did you know when we're doing our retiring our national debt, we're not retiring it, it's interest only. So we have in this $33 trillion debt, our interest only payments right now. Okay. So you never pay it off. It's interest only. We're never putting anything. Interest only is $1 trillion now a year. We bring in 4 trillion and somehow Biden is spending, or even other Republican presidents are spending 5.6 trillion. If we're bringing in 4 trillion, we got to spend 4 trillion. Okay. And our interest payments are just astronomical. But there's not, and you might even speak to that, because there's not even been a balanced budget. The Congress won't even pass a budget. It's these continuing resolutions. You have to have a president that says, you know what? I'm thinking about the people in Iowa, not the insiders in Washington, D.C. And I'm just telling you, after you get in this position, you understand why you need a leader like DeSantis.
Yeah, we in Florida, we've cut taxes every year by record margins, and yet we've run surpluses, and I've actually paid down 25% of our state's total outstanding debt just since I've been governor. So that's a different way of doing business than what they do in Washington. But part of the reason we're able to do that is we have a balanced budget requirement in the state of Florida. So the legislature knows they have to make choices. And yes, I vetoed a lot of their excessive spending, and sometimes they want to spend more than I want to. But the reality is there are constraints. I think we need a balanced budget requirement for the federal government and for the Congress. I think we need term limits for members of Congress so that they can get the job.
Yes,
Go home
and he's
live
going
on
to do
the
it,
laws
guys.
that they pass.
He's going to do
And
it.
I do think
He is going to do it. Trump doesn't want it. Trump has no interest in
And I
term
do
limits,
think
nor
we
would he even
need
know how to
the,
bring it about.
So I have a line item. Do you have a line item veto in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
So I have what's called a line item veto. So if they put a budget bill on my desk, I can sign the whole bill, but strike out individual appropriations. So if they put money in for $100 million for like a new prison, I'm like, it's pricey. I can just take that out without having to veto the whole thing. The president of the United States does not have that authority. So they put these massive bloated bills. You either veto the whole thing or you sign the whole thing. But, you know, they're spending your money to do things like promote transgenderism in Bangladesh. Is that really a good use? I mean, if you give the president the ability to just hack away at this stuff, you would be able to make a difference on it, because I think that there's tens of billions of dollars every year that is spent that is not defensible to the American people in any way. But when you have such a massive spending bill, nobody even knows what's in that. They vote on it without knowing what's in it. That's how your government is operating. So that it just doesn't work.
We have time for one more question.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to get off policies because I just love when you talk about them because it's refreshing. But on a lighthearted note, do you have any Christmas traditions you do at the family? Christmas Eve?
Oh yeah. So it's interesting. So this is so when we moved into the governor's residence in Tallahassee, our oldest daughter was then 2, our son was 9 months, and our third hadn't even been born yet. So they kind of had their first Christmases that they can remember there in Tallahassee in the residence. And one of the perks of being governor and having the privilege to live in the residence is as soon as Thanksgiving happens, man, they decorate that residence so nice. I mean, it's just, and that, like, I remember when I have to do the lights and everything, like, I don't have to do it. They just do it. And I'm like, man, wow, that's a lot of man hours that I would be spending if we were not living in that house. And so they literally decorate like every room. And so if you go in, like in the governor's residence, there's kind of like an entryway. They put a tree there. There's a big room for events. They put a tree there. There's a Florida room. They put a tree there. They do that. So our kids basically determine which tree are we going to send Santa on to in the governor's residence. So you got to strategically place the milk and the cookies and the carrots and everything. And, we have this nice chimney there in the governor's residence. My kids are very concerned, though, about if there's complications with the chimney. How does Santa get in? What happens if this happens? I said, guys, Santa knows how to troubleshoot. Don't worry about that. So we're in negotiations about, okay, there's all these great decorations that the staff so graciously does. The residence looks so great. And I don't know, it would take me forever if I had to do all that. So they pick where do you put the cookies, which tree for this and all this other stuff. And so it's just unique because like when we were obviously before this, we just have one tree in our house. We do whatever there, but it's a really neat setup, and it's a privilege to be able to be a temporary custodian of that. You know, when we were when we got to the governor's residence when I first got elected, you know, we had a house in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, which is south of Jacksonville, north of St. Augustine. Great community, and we bought it at the bottom of the market when we got married in 2009. And so by 2019, like the value had gone up. And I'm just like, we weren't going to use it, right? And like, I'm as governor, I'm not going to be renting it out and having like a landlord tenant dispute. So we're like, so my wife's like, well, why don't we just sell it or whatever? And I'm like, that's fine. Now, if we had just left it with how much things went up since I've been governor, we would have made a lot more money. But you live and you learn. That's fine. But it got to the point though, so we sell this house. And then as we get into 2022, you know, with the reelection, and look, we knew we were going to do well, but, you know, I just, you know, I told my wife, I'm like, man, I have to win because like we need to keep the public housing for a few more years. So we were able to do it. But I look forward to, we are going to be able to go back with the kids. They're all, you know, of the age where this is something that's really, really meaningful for them. And it's just been fun because, you know, this is really where they've grown up. And it's a unique experience. We try to make sure that they understand, like, that's not normal to just have like the decorations put out and everything, that it's really their privilege to be able to be there for a short period of time, you know, as we serve that function as the governor. But they really have good time with it. And the thing is, though, my wife and I have learned the things that you get them, you got to think, okay, how much of a mess is that going to make, right? Because we've gotten them like slime that goes all over the carpet. My oldest wants a science kit, which, you know, science experiments, which it's, you know, she's smart, she wants this, but what are the downsides of these science experiments, right? All the different things. And then I'm very sensitive to how long does it take to put together some of these toys? You will get this stuff and it's like the fine print is so small. You got to find like the different types of screwdrivers, and I'm going for like hours on some of this stuff. And then it's made in China, so a day later it breaks anyways. And you're just like, are you kidding me? So we're going through all that, but we're excited to be able. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas. You know, there's a lot that's going on in our country. There's a lot of things we want to change. But there's this season gives us a chance to reflect, you know, on the birth of Christ, on a lot of things that we're grateful for. And as we get into the new year, I think 2024 is going to be the year where America comes back, where we fight back, and we get back on track again after the November of 2024 elections. You all have it within your power to make that happen. So if you've signed a commitment to caucus card for us, I want to thank you for doing that. If you are planning a caucus for us, we'd ask you to sign that commitment card so we can stay in touch with you. And we would ask all of you who are going to be for us, bring some people with you. I know it's a commitment. I know it's like, you know, there's other things people could be doing on a weekday night when it's cold. And it's not just like you go and check off a box and leave. You're there for a couple hours. I get it. But the future of the country's at stake, and the people of Iowa's voice. You have a chance to really shake things up and change things in a very, very meaningful way. So thank you all. God bless, and have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. I got my NSYNC hair. So happy holidays. Okay, there's one thing I wish I could do. I'm live, by the way, baby. There's one thing I wish I could do. I wish I could sing like NSYNC. I do. I wish I could sing. I wish I could just really just belt it out, sing. I wish I could sing like Elton John. You know, that it would be so cool.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, it would be awesome. But anyway, there's Ron DeSantis, and I get it. Look, these are not UFC fights. These aren't football games where he's going and pretending everybody's clapping for him. This is a VFW. Right? This looks like a VFW. This isn't. There aren't these grand theatrics and pyrotechnics and then digitally added in, manipulated applause and manipulated CGI audiences, courtesy of the Dilly Meme team. This is a medium-sized group of people, regular people. You see them right there coming into a room, packed room. Everybody's rooms are packed. And it's just DeSantis having just a conversation with him. It happens to be streamed, so I stream it. But no. But this is how you connect with voters. I mean, these are the people who are going to be caucusing in Iowa, okay, where they're going to be going and voting, and caucusing is like voting. It's a little different. It's a little weird, different how they do it there. But this is connecting with voters here. So I want to show you this. This was a pretty funny tweet here, and boy, he's right on. Babe, you got anything to say? I mean, he was right on from on everything. I mean,
Well, the fact that he pointed out that the last 10 years was when most of the debt was accrued. And
yeah,
the president in the last 10 years,
Obama, Trump, and Biden racked up the most amount of debt. Trump. And this was one of the things that was warned to me about Trump, was that he runs his businesses with major amounts of debt. Okay, he's not running his business on the Dave Ramsey plan. Okay, he's run. This is not God and Grandma's way of making money. And DeSantis talks about that he had regular jobs like most of us did. You know, I mean, man, I could fill up probably like a whole entire page with all the jobs that I've had. I know. I'm gonna switch over here. I'm gonna switch over. All right, so. But then there you got Trump, who is I just got a small $1 million loan. It was just a very small normal loan. And when was that? When was that? In the 60s when he was a kid? I mean, this guy is not a young whippersnapper. I mean, he's almost 80 years old. He's got one foot in the grave. And so this was a lot of money back then. He was born with a silver spoon, and you know, him and his kid, he's going to be long gone when this electric car stuff goes in it. With the consequences of his actions, he's going to be long gone. His spoiled, rotten kids aren't going to have to deal with any of this stuff because they're elites. They get to do whatever they want. Okay, you think Ivanka is going to be worried about plugging in her whatever, her electric her electric Rolls Royce? You think she's going to be no? Kushner and his dad living right down there in Miami, overlooking the beach. Kushner, who was pardoned by Trump, but not the J6ers. Trump didn't care about pardoning anybody that wasn't in his elitist club. Okay, he pardoned the people that had money. All right, guys, get this. So DeSantis is a normal guy, and that's part of the contempt that Trump and his people have for DeSantis. They don't like that he's a normal guy. Yeah, he went to Harvard and Yale, but he worked hard to get there. DeSantis wasn't smoking pot and partying and drinking. I mean, if you read his book, you know, I mean, he kept his nose to the grindstone. I mean, his parents still live in the same house. They don't live in a mansion. His parents you can go to his parents' house in Dunedin there. It's just like a regular house. It's not like anything. They're not rich people, okay? And DeSantis works as an electrician, and he really just is an example of somebody who did things right. And I kind of look at him and I'm like, gee, you know, boy, I wish I had done things right like him. Because Ron DeSantis and I are roughly the same age, and I'd like to see somebody from my generation. Another thing is Trump doesn't have small children, and you see what is the thing that the Trump people have the most contempt for with DeSantis? It's like his cowboy boots, which represent that he's just like a regular guy. It's the fact that he's not this wealthy, rich elitist. They're like, he doesn't even have a private jet. You know, it's like, well, we don't have private jets, okay? He worked to get where he is. It wasn't. A lot of these Trump people they got this major sense of entitlement going on. It's just like and having these little meltdowns and these beta males like Tim Pool and they want. DeSantis was supposed to be Vivek Ramaswamy. He was supposed to be a beta little pipsqueak, because this is who Tim Pool praises. This is who Benny Johnson praises. This is who Laura Loomer praises. This is who Jack Posobiec praises. They praise a little beta male, a little pipsqueak who is losing, and is graciously losing to Trump. I mean, how are Vivek's poll numbers? Okay, so they carry on and they say that DeSantis's poll numbers would be higher if he just did what Vivek did and pledged to drop out if they don't put Trump on the Colorado ballot. Let me tell you. There's a strong argument that Donald Trump did participate in an insurrection. An insurrection, guess what, is not an overthrow of the government, okay? Does this mean that I think that the J6ers don't need to have a full fair hearing? No, DeSantis said this, and really, he's their best hope. They're going to get a fair shake. All the J6ers are going to get a fair shake. Even Trump himself is going to get a fair shake under a DeSantis administration. Meaning, I know some of you really don't like what happened on January 6th. I don't like what happened on January 6th. But DeSantis has said you will see some pretty big pardons with it, that you're going to go, wait a minute, he pardoned that guy? Well, he's going to treat people fairly. But anyway, but the Supreme Court could read this in a strict constructionist way, okay? The Supreme Court could very well kick this back, refuse to take this case, all these cases that are going to the Supreme Court now, taking Trump off the ballot, which we told you. I said it. Tim Pool has said it. Everybody, a lot of DeSantis people have said this, that there's a strong chance Trump gets kicked off the ballot, okay? And what do people go? Oh, no, he's not. You're just trying to scare people. You're sounding like a lib. And then I'm like, well, and I know that the way to get hundreds of thousands of views right here is to go, oh, this is so unfair. It's unconstitutional what they're doing to Trump. The poor baby is being treated so unfairly. And there might even be a civil war if this continues on. Yeah, they'd be all dramatic and stuff. Yeah, are the QAnon brigade going to be the ones fighting this war? Is that who it's going to be? Are they going to be? Is it a keyboard war? I think I think they're talking about a keyboard civil war. I think that's what they're talking about here. Oh man, I'm going to write about and you know that, and here we go. They're going on strongly worded letters and strongly worded telegram posts against the judges. That's and I just want to say, don't get involved in a Trump riot, okay? He won't help you in any way. He will not, and he'll deny that he ever even knew you, and he'll join with the left and say that he's glad that you're locked up. Basically, like you did with the J6ers. Oh, it was such a violent thing. I'm disgusted. Blah, 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 blah. You know, so just saying. Don't get involved in a Trump incited riot. It's not going to work out for you. Don't expect him to come bail you like Kamala Harris bailed out the BLM rioters, okay? At least their side bails out their rioters. I mean, they look out for their rioters. You got to at least give them that, right? No. If you get involved in a Trump riot, you're screwed. You're gonna rot. He's gonna toss you under the bus. So I strongly recommend that people look. Just let the justice system play out here, okay? But you've got this. Here I'm gonna go on with a couple little tweets I want to share here. Couple little tiny tweets, just like the little polls. The little polls that shoot me very up. Where are the polls, by the way? Oh yeah, I'll show you a poll. You want to see a poll? I'll show you guys a poll. All right, how about this for a poll? I'll show you a poll. A second. All right. Time for Trump to back out and endorse Ron DeSantis. Okay, it's been time. He never should have gotten into this race with all this stuff that's going on. All right. They use Gorsuch's ruling in this current argument. Katzy, can you explain what you mean by that a little bit more? So because this thing in Colorado, this was brought by Republicans and Democrats. So anybody that's saying that, oh, this is the deep state out to get him, it's just not the case. This is, of course, they'll say this isn't Biden either. They keep trying to say that this is Biden going after him. No, there's a lot of different people filing a lot of different things about Trump. Now, there's a lot of different rakes that Trump has stepped on in his idiotic administration, and mainly what he did in 2021 through 2022 is what really defined him, his legacy for me. Because I mean, you can see me in early 2021, I'm running around wearing Trump gear and telling him he needs to run again. I mean, thank God I didn't go up to Washington on January 6th. Oh my God, thank God. Yes, thank you. Yes, you did. Very smart people told me don't go anywhere near that. Okay, so they found that Gorsuch ruled in 2012 about states kicking people off ballots. Look, states can do this, all right? They can do this. And it's revealed there's a real problem with the Republican, the Colorado Republican Party. I mean, they're like, we're not going to allow this to happen. Well, they're pretty much, and this is a problem with a lot of state parties, is they've become Trump cult clubs basically, and that's why they're running out of money. The Republican Party's going broke across, except in Florida, but across the country. But don't think it doesn't infect Florida too. I mean, these are Republican executive committee state parties. Wow, Gorsuch has ruled in favor of the state. Well, yeah. And here's the thing. Can we pick and choose what parts of the Constitution we want and what we don't? Yeah. Is it only like, are only the parts of the Constitution like what we don't that we don't like, that like if we like something of the Constitution, we can keep it, but if it's something we don't like Article 14 gets brought up, okay? And there's a lot of different parts of Article 14 got brought up by DeSantis this morning when he was talking about how he's not going to allow illegal immigrants to come in and have a baby, and then that makes them citizens. It doesn't work like that anymore. That the 14th Amendment was a lot of things to protect against the Dred Scott decision, which basically said slavery was okay. Was that this was so African Americans, Black people, because African Americans are just as American as anybody else. So I don't always like the hyphenated parts with American, but this was so Black people could have babies and they were citizens. Okay. But Article Amendment 14, it says, okay, no person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president to hold any office, civil or military, under the United States, under any state, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of the state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of the state to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. I'm not going to sit here look, a lot of people will tickle your eardrums and they'll tell you that the Mark Levins of the world and these guys, well, they'll very interesting, Katya. Right? And Gorsuch is ruled in this way, guys. There's this whole common wisdom that the Supreme Court is going to reject this flat right. I just don't think that might be the case. And I know that might not be what some people want to hear, but this is where we stand right now. And a lot of DeSantis supporters, people backing DeSantis, warned about this, and this is why we back DeSantis. We don't look. Trump is almost 80. He is not going to be around when the consequences of what are going to happen if we lose this. And we lose the Senate and we lose the House go down. Central bank digital currency, packing of the Supreme Court, electric vehicle mandates. I mean, they could do another COVID shutdown. They could mandate masks again nationally. I mean, they could do whatever the hell they want. Statehood for DC. We could. Trump is not going to be affected by these things, and neither is his family. Okay, DeSantis is saying, I got kids. My family is going to be affected by this. Okay? So this was, the people that want the people that go, oh well, Ron DeSantis is we like him, but his influencers suck, and on. Okay, Tim Pool, and just like that, Ron DeSantis has disqualified himself. Anyone who believes they should win by cheating doesn't deserve to be anywhere near power. What is he talking about? Okay, win by cheating? What does he have to do anything about this? They put this on him, like he's somehow doing this. These are Trump-inflicted wounds. He's been doing this since he got elected president. He's been stepping on rakes. He has this, but the whole, and honestly, the Russiagate thing was BS. But his people were taking calls from guys that said, "This is Igor," or I can't do what's a Russian accent? That's a Sean Connery accent.
Oh, yeah.
Russian. This is Igor. No, the German accent. Ho. Hans Gruber. I mean, Germans make the best bad guys. So they do. Ho. We just saw Die Hard. But they're like, where are my detonators? You have them?
I'll get you, MacGyver.
Where you? I'll get you, MacGyver. Who will you pick, John McClane? The detonators or your life? I don't think that should have been a line in the movie, okay? But okay, so basically DeSantis, I love this. That they're like, well, you do because Vivek, I'm not gonna play the thing again, but Vivek comes out with this self-serving little video going, I am going to withdraw from the Colorado primary if they don't put Donald Trump on the ballot. Because we know Vivek is just, he's the Vivek bot was just part of the whole Trump MAGA 2024 psyop, okay? That's all he is. And that's what the Tim Pools, the Tucker Carlsons, and these guys would like Ron DeSantis to be. They're showing you. They're going, this is what we like. We want a guy. How are Vivek's poll numbers, by the way? We want a guy, we want you to lose. We want you to be a little beta male. And we want you to kiss Trump's ass, okay? We don't like you wearing cowboy boots and being a badass. By the way, I think DeSantis should sell cowboy boots on the Ron DeSantis store with Trump's face on them and say, booting off the ballot. Boot him off. Screw him.
You should have salsa that says
Screw. He should have salsa that says New York City. Screw him. He's the enemy. Why are we trying to, we need to be nicer to the enemy? Like really, why are all these people going, this is so wrong when I did, listen, okay? These people that are like, it's so wrong that Trump be kicked off the ballot. What country am I living in? No, look, okay, just be honest. Deep down, you're happy about it, all right? It's just cut the pretense, cut it all, and stop. Because I remember I'd ask myself, I was like, why every time Trump gets into one of these messes that he creates himself, am I like going around going, Trump, this is wrong? And I had to be honest with myself and go, it's because there's kind of a programming there that's hard to break. Because I was a Trump supporter for a long time. So the heart of programming there that tells you that every time he does something stupid, that you have to come out and blame it on the judge, blame it on the system, blame it on it. No, I'm not blaming this on the system. This is Trump. Trump's the one who called everybody to the Capitol on January 6th. Trump's the one who knew damn well he lost, but let everybody still believe he won. Okay? He knew it. He had his people around him telling him this, okay? And they're all going to be testifying in his Georgia case. Get ready for that. No, guys, I get it. It's it's hard to break the programming, but I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not playing this game anymore. Where every time Trump gets his damn self into a mess, that I come out and act like I'm all upset about it, because I had to admit that look, at some point, it's like you're just doing what you've been kind of conditioned, I guess is a better way, to come out and say. And then you have to ask yourself, why am I mad about this? Did I even read the ruling? Did I even look into this? No, it's just this natural response every time something happens with Trump that now you got to come out and be enraged about it, and not enraged at Trump, mad at the system because they're trying to take him down. No. I'm not doing this anymore. Okay? It might only get me 7 viewers, but I'm not doing it anymore. I'm going to have 7 viewers and be true to what I believe. All right. Then I can sleep at night. Okay. Jeez. And then I can play these clips later on down the road and tell everybody how right I was. Okay, so Jeremy Redfern finally, DeSantis press secretary extraordinaire. This guy is one of the smartest people that I know. Okay, this guy, if you want to talk about bringing the receipts, this guy's got them. All right, Jeremy Redfern has been such a crucial asset, and he's not a publicity whore either. He's not like, oh, pay attention to me. Look at no, he's very humble man. Okay, military guy. All right, that's the little suit he wears in his profile pic. Okay, that is his bomb diffusing outfit. He used to be in the military. He would go and defuse bombs. I can't imagine that's a very. I mean, in Iraq or Afghanistan, I mean, what is that? Diffusing IEDs? Okay, this is a brave dude here. Okay, if you're gonna be walking up diffusing bombs and dealing with bombs in any kind of way, you're that's bravery. Okay, when I hear Vivek, people calling Vivek brave for Vivek is so brave for kowtowing to Trump and bowing before him. I'm like, that might be bravery in MAGA world today, but in real world, what Jeremy Redfern did is bravery in the military, and that carries through to today. But he's caught the grifter right. Wants to fight the left with one arm tied behind their back and blindfolded. It's ridiculous, but not surprising given the current culture of losing. Exactly. All these guys, they want DeSantis, Johnny MAGA, Ali Alexander, alter ego. They want disqualifying presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy drops truth bombs. Vivek isn't even qualifying for this next debate. Why won't he stand in solidarity with Vivek? Listen, if DeSantis did what any of these people wanted him to do, he would lose. It would lose, and they'd be they don't want DeSantis to lose. Why would you take advice from people that want you to lose? They are losers. They want to lose. They would rather, let me tell you what Laura would rather have. Laura would rather have Trump defeat DeSantis and the Democrats win. Okay, defeating DeSantis is their number one priority. It's not defeating Biden. It's not defeating Newsom. Hell, they were praising Newsom when he was debating DeSantis. They were on his side. But what did DeSantis say that has these guys all triggered? I want to get the. They asked him, "Oh, will you back out like Ramaswamy did? Will you back out?" By the way, if you have not listened to this Tim Cool space, or this not Tim Cool space, this Mario Nawfal space with Tim Cool in it, you got to listen to this. Him sticking it to Gorka and all these guys, you've got to listen to that. Here it is. This is what got him all.
Saying he will remove himself from the Colorado ballot unless Trump's eligibility is restored. Would you do the same?
No, I think that's just playing into the left. I think the case will get overturned by the Supreme Court, but I've qualified for all the ballots. I'm competing in all the states, and I'm going to accumulate the delegates necessary. That's the whole name of the game.
2024 presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy.
Based Ron. No. Look, I know, Laura, you wanted him to be. I know, Tim Pool, your perfect candidate to run against Trump would be the mousy little silly beta boy who doesn't wear cowboy boots. He wears loafers without socks, and he's this little guy that a strong wind would blow away. I mean, I've seen Vivek up close. He's a strong wind would blow this guy away. I mean, Beta does not even, and he made his money in big pharma, which goes right along with Trump and his Operation Warp Speed and giving Pfizer, taking $1 million from Pfizer and to kick Robert F. Kennedy Jr. off of the, and not have the Vaccine Safety Task Force. Okay, so no, I'm not getting off the ballot. Screw you and screw Vivek. That's what I would say. But this is what he's saying. You got to be able to interpret this. He's so diplomatic. I mean, basically what he's saying is screw you, screw Vivek, screw Tim Pool, screw Laura Loomer, screw Jeffy Penny Johnson, all of them. They don't want Ron DeSantis to win. So why would he take advice from them? And yeah, and what's the deal here? If no Trump on the ballot, we just have nobody? What's the deal here? If everybody takes themselves off the ballot, think about this. If everybody says, oh, I'm following in suit and because they're being so mean to Trump, even though he brought this all on himself, I'm going to take it. Every Republican should just take their name off the ballot. So then what are we left with? We hand another 4 years to Biden or Newsom or whoever they decide, because the Democrats coronate. They don't have they coronate their nominee, which is the direction the Republican Party's been going in lately. And we lose and we hand it to the Dems for another 4 years because they're being mean to Trump, and that will really show them. I don't get it. The way to do this is to get behind the guy who's not being kicked off the ballot. And this guy, by the way, if you haven't noticed, is pretty damn good. You couldn't dream up a better presidential candidate. Look, I'm 40 years old. I'm about to turn 41. I'm a Rush baby. If you have been a conservative who has believed in conservative principles, believed in financial responsibility for our government, wanted financial responsibility, if you were one of the Ron Paul people, if you're one of the people that was like, oh man, Ron Paul would be the best president, but he just can't seem to make it to the election because of either his age or because people view him as a little quirky or things like that. This is what you've been dreaming of. This is as close as you're gonna get. Okay, this is as close as you're gonna get to somebody who, at least with the financial side. I don't know with really honestly, hear DeSantis talk about the military. Getting the woke out of military. They got pronoun training for soldiers now. That's like their top priority now for soldiers is pronoun training. Okay. Don't believe me? Ask somebody in the military. She, her, I'm, they, them. You must call them they, them. And I mean, they vaccinated the whole military. Of course, they give them a whole bunch of vaccines. They said, I mean, the military, I'm concerned that if we came under attack right now, what the status of our military would be. I don't know if anybody else is. The border, if you've seen the border lately, it's getting even more out of control. Okay. It's a mob down there. It's scary. And it's all men in their 20s. And a lot of them are wearing masks. Is this who we want in our country? Where are the women? Where are the children? These men are ditching their families and what do they want? What are they doing here? And you can talk about great replacement theory, which that's just playing to an audience. So this is great. This is great invasion theory. Okay, that's what this is. I don't know. This is just a whole bunch of young men just pouring into the country. We don't know who they are. So guys, look, here is your guy. You don't have to continue with this drama. I get it. There's podcast hosts and big personalities and politicians that their whole grift is dependent on defeating this man. And their grift is dependent on the turmoil continuing because a solution to the problem means an end to the grift. That's the Al Sharpton syndrome, okay? A lot of these guys have Al Sharpton syndrome. I get it. But do you want, I'm appealing to people, do you really want to lose our country and 10 years from now, when Trump is almost 90, when Trump is long gone, do you want to be able to say, oh, well, we stood by Trump at least, when our country's going to hell because we didn't nominate the right guy, and you stay loyal to Trump, who would never be loyal to you, by the way. Not a chance. He's not loyal to anybody in his life. He's not loyal to his wife. He's not loyal to his most close supporters. He'll throw you under the bus. Yeah. So, and then now you got this. Now you got the Supreme Court justices getting all the here come the threats. Here come the threats, because this is how it works in Trump land. Okay, they come after Trump, and then his influencer crowd starts suggesting like, oh, here's the judges. Oh, look, this is their names. This is it. They know damn well too that there will be threats. Okay, what do you think they're trying to do when they start putting out stories about the judges and Trump retweets them? Okay, what do you think they're trying to do there? Just inform you about it? No, they're oh, here's the judge, here's their husband, here's their kids, here's where they work, here's that it's a doxing thing. If you haven't noticed, the Trump people have really taken to doxing lately. To going after people, revealing their identity, and this is what Nikki Haley, Trump's VP nominee, wants to do, and then pointing you to their business and telling you to harass them and stuff like that. I mean, there's a real culture of doxing going on in Trump land now, and when they do this, they know there's a bunch of nutburgers on Twitter, or not on Twitter, but on Telegram and these other forums. And a lot of them are probably harmless, but nevertheless, I mean, really, guys, when are you going to learn? Look what Rudy Giuliani's going through now because he sicked all the lunatics on those 2 election workers. Okay. Oh, look. Yeah. Now this starts up, guys. There is a better way. Okay. There's a better way. Ron DeSantis. He's there for the taking. There he is. He's got the right answer. I have a high IQ, by the way, but not arrogant. Where do you meet a guy with an IQ like Ron DeSantis who wasn't arrogant? High IQ, but not arrogant. And he's doing it. You're not seeing the big theatrics like with Trump, but he's there in these rooms connecting with voters, campaigning with Stitt. He did a great town hall last night with Chip Roy. I might do a replay of that later today with Never Back Down. So, there you go, guys. And I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, the time where the Savior of the world was born. His name is Jesus Christ. And he came because we are imperfect. We're imperfect people, and the world needed a Savior. And this was the Savior that was promised, that was prophesied by Isaiah, Jeremiah, and all the rest of the prophets. I hate it when I get Micah, Amos, when I get to heaven, and it's like, oh, you are one of the minor prophets. And you meet them. I'm sure they're really going to go, oh, thanks. Just because my book was only 1 page doesn't mean I was a minor prophet, but was prophesied by Isaiah, by David, in Psalms, and then was born in Israel. And DeSantis talks about Israel a lot. And the state of Bethlehem right now, they've canceled Christmas in Bethlehem. Can you believe that? Where Jesus was born because of what's going on over there. And the Muslims control Bethlehem. And it's a big sty right now. It's sad. They built a giant mosque right in front of the church there. That's what Israel would look like, by the way, if you let the Arabs take over. All right. But Jesus came to take away the sins of the world and die for our sins and to be the perfect sacrifice. And if you put your faith in him, you know that you have a purpose for living, your past is forgiven, and you have a home in heaven. And we're going to celebrate in a few days his birth. Okay? And, there's a lot of people that are like that poo-poo Christmas. They poo-poo every holiday. They're like, Christmas trees are of the devil. And it just don't. The best thing to do is stop. Oh, you know that Jesus wasn't really born on December 28th. Yeah, we know. Okay. We're celebrating. Okay? And it's a great time of year. I hope you enjoy the time with your family, as I will. Maybe get off social media a little bit and have a very restful, wonderful Christmas. It's Chris Nelson. Thanks for watching. Merry Christmas, political homeless. Merry Christmas, Catsy. Merry Christmas, guys. Everybody who's been watching. And that.